The American War of Independence, it is also known as the American Revolutionary War, was a significant conflict that took place between 1775 and 1783. It marked the struggle of 13 American colonies against British rule and ultimately resulted in the formation of the United States of America. 1. Background. The war was a culmination of growing tensions between the American colonists and the British government over issues such as taxation without representation, trade restrictions, and the presence of British troops in the colonies. 2. Causes. Major factors leading to the conflict included the Stamp Act of 1765, the Townshend Acts of 1767, the Boston Massacre of 1770, and the Tea Act of 1773, which led to the Boston Tea Party. 1 Navigation Acts, 1651, 1660, 1663, 1673, 1696. The Navigation Acts were a series of laws enacted by the British Parliament in the mid-17th century and later amended in the late 17th century and early 18th century. The primary purpose of these acts was to regulate colonial trade and ensure that it primarily benefited the British economy and merchants. Key provisions. The acts required that all goods imported into the colonies and transported between British colonies had to be carried on British ships or ships built in the British colonies, thus ensuring that British shipping interests profited from colonial trade. Certain enumerated or specified goods produced in the colonies, such as tobacco, sugar, and indigo, could only be exported to England or other British colonies. This provided a guaranteed market for these commodities and encouraged their production in the colonies. The acts aimed to prevent direct trade between the colonies and other European nations, effectively establishing a monopoly for British merchants on colonial trade. Number 2. Enumerated list of goods. The enumerated list consisted of specific goods produced in the American colonies that were permitted to be exported only to England or other British colonies, as mentioned in the Navigation Acts. Examples of enumerated goods: tobacco, a significant export from the southern colonies, especially Virginia and Maryland. Sugar, produced in large quantities in the Caribbean colonies. Indigo, a valuable blue dye produced in the southern colonies. The enumerated list aimed to benefit British manufacturers and merchants by ensuring that these valuable colonial commodities were sold within the British Empire, thus stimulating British commerce and industry. 3. Colonial Manufacturing Prohibition Act, 1750. The Colonial Manufacturing Prohibition Act, also known as the Iron Act, was passed by the British Parliament in 1750. It aimed to protect British iron manufacturers from competition with the American colonies and restrict their ability to develop their own iron industry. Key provisions. The act prohibited the establishment or expansion of any colonial ironworks that produced finished iron products. It aimed to reserve the production of iron goods for British manufacturers and prevent the colonies from developing their own iron industry. The colonies were allowed to continue producing raw iron, which could then be exported to Britain. However, they were not permitted to transform this raw iron into finished products. The Colonial Manufacturing Prohibition Act was one of several measures taken by Britain to control and regulate colonial economic activities, often to the detriment of colonial industrial development and economic independence. These acts significantly influenced the economic relationship between Britain and its American colonies, and they were among the contributing factors that eventually led to tensions and grievances leading up to the American Revolution. The colonists perceived these acts as unfair and restrictive, and they played a role in shaping their desire for economic autonomy and independence. 1. Stamp Act, 1765, passed by Prime Minister George Grenville. The Stamp Act imposed taxes on various paper goods in the American colonies, leading to strong opposition due to taxation without representation. 2. Declaratory Act, 1766. Following the Stamp Act, the Declaratory Act asserted British Parliament's authority to make laws binding on the American colonies in all cases whatsoever. 3. Townshend Acts, 1767. Introduced under Prime Minister Charles Townshend, these acts imposed new duties on imported goods in the American colonies, triggering further resistance to British taxation policies. 4. Boston Tea Party, 1773. In protest against the British Tea Act, colonists dumped tea into Boston Harbor on December 16, 1773. 5. Lord North, 1770 to 1782. Prime Minister Lord North faced challenges in handling tensions with the American colonies, ultimately failing to prevent the American Revolutionary War. Course of action. 1. Congress of Philadelphia, 1774. The First Continental Congress was held in Philadelphia in response to the Intolerable Acts, aiming to address grievances and unify colonial resistance against British policies. 2. Declaration of Independence. On July 4, 1776, the Second Continental Congress adopted the Declaration of Independence, drafted primarily by Thomas Jefferson. It declared the colony's intention to break away from British rule and established the principles of individual rights and self-governance. 3. Major battles. The war was characterized by numerous battles, including the battles of Lexington and Concord, 1775, Bunker Hill, 1775, Saratoga, 1777, and Yorktown, 1781, among others. 4. Foreign involvement. France, Spain, and the Netherlands provided support to the American colonies, both diplomatically and militarily, which was crucial in weakening the British position. 5. Role of key figures. Important figures in the American Revolution included George Washington, who served as the commander-in-chief of the Continental Army, and Benjamin Franklin, who played a vital role in securing French support. Number 6. Treaty of Paris, 1783. The war officially ended with the signing of the Treaty of Paris in 1783. Britain recognized the independence of the United States and agreed to the boundaries that established the new nation. 7. Legacy. The American War of Independence had a profound impact on global history. It inspired other movements for independence and self-determination around the world and influenced the development of democratic ideals. 8. Constitutional Convention. Following the war, the Articles of Confederation proved ineffective, leading to the Constitutional Convention of 1787, which drafted the United States Constitution, laying the foundation for the American government that exists to this day. 9. Bill of Rights. The demand for individual rights and freedoms, which had been articulated in the Declaration of Independence, was further codified in the Bill of Rights, the first 10 amendments to the Constitution, guaranteeing various civil liberties. The American War of Independence remains a crucial event in American history, shaping the nation's identity and its commitment to principles of liberty, democracy, and self-governance. The American War of Independence had profound and multifaceted impacts on Britain in various aspects of political, economic, social, and foreign policy. Here are some of the major consequences. Political impact. 1. Loss of American colonies. The most significant political impact was the loss of Britain's 13 American colonies, which declared independence and formed the United States of America. This weakened Britain's global. The American War of Independence. It is also known as the American Revolutionary War.